Hey guys, Miss G here. Just wanting to check in about today's assignment. I really appreciate those of you who were able to complete it. I believe it was called the angle relationships definition. So it was about vertical angles, adjacent angles, complementary angles, and supplementary angles. I just wanted to give a quick review, just taking a look at those assignments. It seemed like most of you understood what was going on. There's just a few things I'm going to nitpick at just to make sure that you understand perfectly what it is, so that when we get to looking at triangles and rhombi and rectangles and all of that, it makes it easier to understand. I do want to give a quick shout out to the people who did complete the assignments. Well, I've got Noah Brister, Ryan, Reese, Carson, Martha, Kevin, Reagan, Annie T, Adam, and Caitlin. So thank you so much for doing the assignment so that I can take a look and see how your learning is going. Like I said, it seemed like most people got it right. I had one person who, with the vertical angles, messed up on their measurement, but maybe they were taking a look at supplementary. So I don't know. We'll see. I just want to clear it up. If you haven't done the assignment already, please go back and do it. I also have a flip grid up asking you to just do some sort of little organizer or interactive notebook thing, or create your own video, put a video of Flipgrid where you're just describing it, or I don't know, use crayons on your wall, something, whatever. Just show me that you know what you're doing. I also have the Padlet up, so I've got Jeremy who's turned that in. He put something on there, and I have someone else who made a comment, but it says anonymous, so if you could go back in and type your name, that would be great. You can find all of those things on Schoology. So just make sure that you're checking that out daily. So I found a whiteboard, and I'm going to see how this goes. So welcome to Geometry with Miss G. Like I said, you guys did pretty good. There's just a couple things that I want to make sure that is completely understood. For those of you who haven't done the assignment and you're watching this is going to help you with your vocab and pictures. Also, you can go on the Padlet and put your stuff in there as well. So with complementary and supplementary angles, everyone nailed that with knowing that their sum for complementary is 90 degrees. And for supplementary, the sum is 180 degrees. So that was perfect. The one thing that I'm going to nitpick at is making sure that you are mentioning that it is two angles and two angles only for both of these. So you can't say that one angle, since it's a right angle, is complementary. It has to be two angles. Can't be three angles either. Now, I know that we've seen some pictures where three angles come together to form a straight line, and we know those are 180 degrees, but that's because a straight line is 180 degrees. They're not supplementary angles. All right. So I believe everyone showed this example on their homework, which is correct. We can tell that these two angles add up to 90 degrees. There are two separate angles here. They just share a common side. So they are indeed complementary angles. Same thing with supplementary. I saw this like this. Okay, we know that these are two angles. It's a straight line. So we know the straight line is 180 degrees. Therefore, these two angles are supplementary. The one thing I do want to point out is they don't have to be adjacent angles, meaning they share a common side. I believe Ryan was the only one here that showed the two separate angles, and I'll show you that in a minute. So just want to make sure that you know with complementary angles, I have a 40-degree angle here and a 50-degree angle here. They add up to 90 degrees, therefore they are also complementary. So they can either look like this, two angles apart, or like this, two angles sharing a common side. Here, we know these are adjacent, they share a common side. Or we can say, well, this angle is 30 degrees, and this other angle is 150 degrees. Therefore, these two are also supplementary angles. So they can either be split apart or they can be adjacent. Either way, just want to make sure that you know both of those. So when we're talking about them, you can picture both of those types. Most of you, when I'm asking you in class and I say which one, I'm looking for the word complementary or supplementary, I know you know which word. You know one's 90 and one's 180. It's just we're kind of struggling on which is which. I don't know what you want to come up with. Maybe C comes first in the alphabet before S, and 90 is before 180. So C goes with 90 and S goes with 180. Whatever it is, just try to make sure that you remember it somehow. Okay, vertical angles. Everyone but one person, and like I said, I think it was just some sort of typo there, got it, and you said that vertical angles are congruent. Remember, that's that little squiggly line with the equal sign underneath it. We also know that congruent means that their measures are equal. So when I'm asking you, hey, if they're vertical angles, what are their measures? I mean equal. They're equal. That's what I'm looking for, or congruent. On the definition, we kind of wavered a little there. We just need, the main thing that we need to know are vertical angles are formed by a set of intersecting lines. Okay, if we don't have intersecting lines, we don't have vertical angles. Then they're the angles that are opposite each other, so top and bottom or left and right. Martha and Annie T got a little fancy on theirs and said that they're the angles that are non-adjacent. Non-adjacent would mean they don't share a common side, but they do share a vertex, and that's the only thing they share. So I really like the use of that word. So if we look here, we have this angle is congruent to this angle. So if this if this angle right here is, let's say, 60 degrees, then this angle right here has to be 60 degrees. Now remember, every time that we make intersecting lines, we actually have 4 angles that are formed there. So I have this set of green angles right here. Now notice I'm doing them with 2 lines. That's indicating, well, that kind of looks like a double, but this is indicating these 2 are equal. The single lines, these 2 are equal. So they're angles that are opposite of each other, or they point to each other, whatever way you want to think about it. Now, since you know that 2 angles that are adjacent and are on a straight line like this are 180, when we have vertical angles, we also get some supplementary angles in there, which we've also kind of said are linear pairs. I'm not sure that CPM uses that book. I think they use like straight pair or something, whatever. So we could actually figure out the degree of these angles. So since this 60-degree angle, the purple one, forms a straight line with this green one, then this angle has to be 130 degrees. And since we know these 2 in green, sorry the green's not showing up too well, are vertical angles, then they have to be 130 degrees. So just remember, if you know the measure of one of these angles and their intersecting lines, you can figure out the other 3. So maybe practice some of those, go on Khan Academy, or if you feel like you got it, great. The final thing that I kind of threw in there because of the complementary and supplementary are the adjacent angles. So the adjacent angles, the main thing is they share a common side. Okay, so this would be a set of vertical angles. Adjacent angles. Now, adjacent angles don't necessarily mean that they're equal to each other, like we have up here. They weren't equal to each other. They could be, like let's say you had 45 and 45, then you have adjacent angles and you would also have complementary. But they're a set of angles that share a common side, and some of you put also vertex, which has to happen. If they share a common side, then they have a common vertex. So this was just the gist of the first part of our lesson for chapter 2. Complementary, supplementary. Remember complementary, 2 angles that add up to 90 degrees. Supplementary, 2 angles that add up to 180. Vertical angles formed by intersecting lines, and their measures are equal to each other, the opposite ones. That's really hard to point. Opposite ones. And adjacent angles share a common side. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to add another assignment somehow on there for you guys to just identify these for extra practice. There is an ed puzzle on there that I would really like you guys to do. There's a different guy teaching it, but I typed in all the questions that I wanted you to answer. They're all open-ended, but I like it better than multiple choice. It really lets me see if you're answering it correctly instead of guessing. And then after this, we're going to be moving on to our special angle pairs. So parallel lines cut by transversal, and they get all those fancy ones that we move on to. And our end goal is to take a look at triangle angle sum theorem again, and then use all of these angles that we have learned to solve some problems. So hope things are going well for you. Keep checking in with Schoology. I'll keep putting stuff on there. I know it probably seems like overload, but like I said, this chapter is one of the really, really important ones. And you guys, I mean, you've seen it as we've gone through the other chapters. I keep referring chapter 2, chapter 2, chapter 2. Yeah, so do your work. Ask me any questions. If you haven't gone on Remind, please go on Remind. It's really hard for me to check Schoology messages. My phone doesn't go off. So please click that Remind code. It's just at K Greeby. Just take off the L. So K Greeby. And hope you guys are doing well. Miss you tons. Hope to see you soon. Bye.